Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Well, the best laid plans of mice and men. We had an idea that we were going to be putting this back in the bathroom. At least that was the plan. This is where we put all the towels in the bathroom. And it set right over the top of the toilet. So it was going to work just fine. Except the new toilet, as I told you in a previous video, is too tall. The flush valve is on top of the tank. This is 31 3/8 to the top of this tank. Excuse me, this is 30 3/8 to the top of this, to the bottom of this bar. And the top of the tank was 31 inches high. No way in the world I was going to be able to reach my hand in there and push those buttons to flush the toilet, let alone be able to take the top off the tank. So that plan just didn't work. So now we have a very nice cabinet in working condition that has no purpose. And rather than toss it out or put it out by the street with a free sign on it, I decided to add some shelves to it, and we're going to make it into a storage unit for Lydia's dressing room, so she can put makeup and hair care products and whatever else she desires to put on there. So I'm going to be cutting some shelves. I need to put 3 shelves in the bottom because this is where the water closet is set, or as Shedman X calls it, the cistern. English language is a funny thing. He also told me about a way that they mount the cistern in the wall, which is put the flush tank inside the wall so that it's not behind the toilet. That would be nice. It'd be a lot lighter. You might have a little bit more plumbing to connect, but it would be interesting to see one of those in action. So, getting back to the job at hand. I'm going to measure this up and get ready to put the shelves in it, get them cut down and get them ready to mount. Then I have to paint them. So, first things first, gotta measure. Gotta have a sharp pencil before I can do anything. I put the pencil sharpener clear back here in the back corner. I sometimes question my thinking. Another random occurrence that doesn't have good result. I bought a bag of 100 pencils at a swap meet flea market up in Charlton Park. It was a Father's Day thing, and I went up there and I saw that they had pencils, 100 of them for like $1. So I picked up a bunch and I brought them home, and then I found out that anything that says Aaron Herbs and Spices, Saginaw Road, Bay City, Michigan, has got blue lead in it. I guess you'd call it lead. The marking part of the pencil, it's indelible. You don't want to use that on a project that you might have to get the number or the line off later. So these are great if you're just making notes, as long as you don't want to erase it. Totally, once it's there, it's there. There we go. That's a usable pencil. Laid out the shelves. The bottom shelf is going to be 4 inches off the floor. The second shelf is going to be 13 inches off the floor. And the third shelf is going to be 22. Something that you run into occasionally, and hopefully you'll be aware of it after you see this. This is a Stanley Power Block 25-foot tape measure. I've had this, well, I left Borg Warner in 1981, and this was my tape measure that I used at Borg Warner when I was measuring all the equipment and setting up water lines and doing all kinds of things. This one is accurate. I checked this one against it. This one gains a 1/16 of an inch for every foot of length. So if you buy a tape measure at Harbor Freight and you're building something, that's okay. You can use this tape measure, but never change tape measures. Whatever you start the job with, you run with. This tape measure is okay if you're cutting firewood or chopping down trees, but anything requiring any kind of precision, no good at all. And the best way to check that is do what I did. Lay out the legs with that Harbor Freight tape measure and then come back and lay out the legs with the accurate tape measure. Another quick way to know is measure a steel rule. This one says steel rule is 12 inches, and the steel rule says the tape measure is marked at 12 inches. This old Miller Falls rule is dead square too. Now that I've got both sides marked, I'm going to set this on the floor and out of my way, and I'm going to set up the piece of aspen that I'm going to cut the shelves out of up onto the workmate and get those cut. .27 and 13/16. .27 and 13/16. Okay. We've been painting down here, and I found that a really great drop cloth is an old shower curtain. The drop cloth on the floor gets tossed every time I use it. Once you pick it up, it gets wadded up and thrown away, because when you're walking on it, you get little tears and wrinkles in it. That shower curtain's only a couple of years old. We change them quite often, and they last a long, long time. I think I've got another one over there on the shelf. You don't want to have too many of them piled up. They work really great for covering up the workmate. Took a little bit to do it, but I got it lined up. Measure twice, cut once. .22 and 13/16. A little beeswax on the blade makes it cut better. And this Disston number 12 saw is a really fine saw. It's got 10 teeth per inch, and it's a hollow ground saw, so it doesn't have any drag on it to begin with. That beeswax makes it slide through the wood like nobody's business. Made at the Keystone Saw Works, Philadelphia, USA. It's London 12 Spring, extra refined, warranted. Patent ground, regular U.S. Patent Office. Registered U.S. Patent Office. Very nice saw. Now some of you guys may ask me, why am I cutting with a handsaw? Well, I've found that once I start a handsaw cutting in a straight line, because it is so wide and the way it cuts, it wants to continue on in the same line that you started. So all you have to do is make sure you got that first inch right. And it'll follow that same line all the way across the board. Just have to make sure that you make your line straight. Now each one of the shelves is 3/4 of an inch thick. I'm going to run a screw in from the outside. So I want to drill holes 3/8 of an inch away from that top line, which will designate the top of the board, the top of the shelf, so that my screws land in the center of the shelf. Put one set of holes 2 inches in from the front and another set 2 inches in from the back. I should have the shelf fairly well anchored. Far enough away from the edge that it won't split, plenty strong enough to support the weight. Put a little cap on your wax, makes it so that the wax doesn't dry out. Keeps a lot longer. I said, could you take that handle loose on that clamp? Oh, that is loose.
Yep.
Good job, Lydia.
Sure can. I'm very strong.
My able assistant.
I'm very strong.
My able assistant.
Don't even know my own strength.
Okay, let's set it up. Oh, it's all done. 3 extra shelves on the bottom. All is painted. Looks good. Now it's time to put it up in the dressing room. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching. This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the US or 16 in the European Union, without the express written permission of the parents or legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.